total. Okay, yeah, recording. So okay, so काली मैं पढ़ी थी जमती हमारा Azure Data Factory कौन है? What is Azure Data Factory? What are the prerequisites needed to learn Azure Data Factory? And हमें तारो advantages कौन थिला? Then I showed you how to create the resource group as well. Okay, and also what is resource group? That is also explained. So ଯେମିତି ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ recap କରିଦଉଛି whatever I taught you. So resource group କଣ? It's a kind of got a time kind of you can say it's a folder where you have to keep all your resources. Okay, so basically ଆମର ଗୋଟେ hierarchy ରହୁଛି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ Azure ରେ କାମ କରୁଛେ, so you need a active subscription for to use all the resources, and under the subscription you have to create a resource group, then only you can keep all your resources inside that resource group, and then you can provide the access and provide the necessary permissions to the tenants. Okay, so that is basically this is the overall process how we are maintaining wherever you go, like it's not about in this ADF only. जहाँ भी मैं Azure रे काम करूँगा, that would be the same process. You have to create a resource group, then under the resource group you have to create multiple resources and you have to use it. Okay. 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 Let me share my screen. Okay. So I discussed what are the features of Azure Data Factory. So one is the data integration. I told you like the biggest advantage of Azure Data Factory is it has many connectors, many Azure connectors, which means it can connect to multiple sources. Okay, there is no limitation, and there are a lot of connectors are there, so that what happens, like if someone wants to fetch or someone wants to uh, c- collect the data from any resources, then he can connect it. Okay, because we have the connectors available in as a data factory. That is the main advantage. Then also it includes supports the database. If you want to connect to SQL databases, okay, it can be in yeah, Azure SQL database, it can be in SQL DB, Oracle DB, or MySQL DB, Postgres DB, anything. Okay, we can connect. No SQL systems also, like if you want to connect to MongoDBs, in Azure Cosmos DB, all these DBs that we can connect. We have that flexibility. Then REST APIs also we can connect. We will see that REST API thing, like how can you connect to HTTP sites like GitHubs and all. I'll show you how to connect and how to transfer the data from REST APIs to our local. I mean, it may be a DLS or it may be a blob container. Then file-based data sources. If you have any files also that we can capture and that we can transfer, copy from one place to another place, then allow you to unify the data workflows regardless the source of the format. Like basically we can convert if you want to transform the data, read the data and transform it, and you have to capture. Suppose like you are reading the data in JSON format, but you want to apply some transformations, and on the top of that, then you want to store that in a different format like CSV or any other format, then you can also do that. Okay, that is what it means, like source of the format you can, you know, connect. You can basically connect it. So these are the capabilities of Azure Data Factory. Then next thing is no code pipeline authoring. Basically, no code pipeline means you don't have to write the code much here. Okay, basically it's a kind of drag and drop feature. Azure Data Factory, it's a kind of drag and drop feature, but you need to know the process first. Basically it's a, you don't have to go write the code much. Okay, there are very less code you have to write, not much. Okay, I think you can say that 90% 90 to 95% of things you can do it only drag and drop. Only like some of the conditions or something that you have to write, if conditions or some kind of conditions if you want, then you have to write it, or else it's also can be done without writing any code. Okay, so basically it's a kind of no code pipeline. You don't have to write any much code until and unless there is a complex transformations or complex logics needs to be implemented. Okay, so ADF's drag and drop feature, and that simplifies how users create the data pipelines with pre-built templates, guided configuration wizards, and an intuitive visual editors. Even users no code expertise can design. Basically, you have more କିଛି coding experience ନାହିଁ ମୋତେ if statement ଜଣା ନାହିଁ, but I mean it was ଜଣା ନାହିଁ, then you can simply use that. Okay, you can simply use that, and you can use this drag and drop feature from ADF to write your code to build the pipeline basically. ବୁଝିହେଲା what is this no code pipeline? हमको कोड लिखिବାକୁ ପଡିବନି, ଆମର ଅଲରେଡି ଫିଚର୍ସ ଅଛି, ଆମକୁ ଖାଲି ଡ୍ରାଗ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଡ୍ରପ୍ କରିକି ଶୋ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ। ଓକେ,
Azure ADF ଟା ହଉଛି ପିଲାରେ ପୁରା no coding ବୁଝିଲେ ନା there is no code required ତ ସବୁ drag and drop କରି ତମେ ଯାହା ବି କିଛି ପାଇପଲାଇନ ବନେଇ ପାରିବ ଡେଟା କପି କରିପାରିବ ସବୁ କିଛି ଇଜି ଟୁ ଲର୍ନ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଖାଲି ପ୍ରୋସେସ ସବୁ ଷ୍ଟେପ୍ସ ମନେ ରଖିବାକୁ ପଡିବ
yeah right, so that process you need to remember, ମାନେ କେମିତି ଆମେ କୋଷ୍ଟ ଯଦି ତମେ ଇନଷ୍ଟଲେସନ କଲା ବେଳେ କିଛି ପ୍ରୋସେସ ମନେ ରଖୁଛ, ସିମିଲାର ଟୁ ଦ୍ୟାଟ। ଓକେ, ୟୁ ହାଭ୍ ଟୁ ନୋ ଦ ପ୍ରୋସେସ, କେମିତି ତମେ ଗୋଟେ ପାଇପଲାଇନ କୁ ଏକ୍ସିକ୍ୟୁଟ କରିବ, ଟ୍ରିଗର ଟା କେମିତି ରାଇଟ୍ କରିବ, ଦେନ୍ କପି କଲା ବେଳେ କେମିତି ତମେ ସେଟଅପ୍ କରିବ, HTTP ସାଇଟ୍ ହଉ କି JSON ଫାଇଲ୍ ଏନି ଫାଇଲ୍ ଫର୍ମାଟ କୁ ରିଡ୍ କଲା ବେଳେ କେମିତି ରିଡ୍ କରିବ, ୟୁ ନୋ ଟୁ नो द प्रोसेस, only you have to select drag and drop like that, nothing much. Okay, we'll see that. Okay? We'll see that. Then scheduling is a kind of like once you create the pipeline you have to schedule it for automate run, you have to schedule it. Okay, so what it will do is like there is no manual intervention like suppose તમે ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ pipeline ବନେଇଲ, so you want to run that pipeline at a specific time. It can be if a specific time, or it can be some event driven like suppose ଯଦି ଆମର କିଛି ଫାଇଲ ଟା ଗୋଟେ ଆରାଇଭ ହେଇଗଲା, ନ୍ୟୁ ଫାଇଲ ଗୋଟେ ଆସିଲା, ତମେ ଚାହିଁବ କି ନାଇଁ ମତେ ସେ ଟାଇମ ରେ ବି ମତେ ପାଇପଲାଇନ ଟାକୁ ରନ୍ କରିବାର ଅଛି, that also can be done. So there are multiple different types of schedules available. Okay, so as a data factory scheduling tool offer workflow automation, user can set up the triggers based on the specific condition. Basically ଏଠି ଆମେ କଣ କରୁଛୁ, ଗୋଟେ trigger କୁ set up କରୁଛୁ, ଯେମିତି ତମର SQL ରେ triggers ଅଛି। ଓକେ, କେତେବେଳେ ତମର ଗୋଟେ trigger ହବ, similar to that ଏଠି ବି ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ trigger set କରିପାରିବା, so that ସେଇ trigger ପରେ ଆମର pipeline ଟା automatically run ହବ। ଓକେ, and trigger can be multiple types, ଯେମିତି ମୁଁ କହିଲି କି ଗୋଟେ ଆମେ ଯଦି ଚାହିଁବା କି ଏଭ୍ରି ମିନିଟରେ ଆମର ପାଇପଲାଇନ ଟା ରନ୍ ହଉ, ଏଭ୍ରି 1 hour ରେ, ଏଭ୍ରି 6 hours ରେ, okay, that we can set up, or else once in a day, but at a particular time ରେ, morning ରେ ହଉ evening ରେ ହଉ, that also we can do, or else like ଆମେ କହିବା କି ନାଇଁ we have to run it at a specific event, ଯଦି ଆମର କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ଫାଇଲ୍ସ ଆସିଲା, ବଟ୍ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ JSON ଫାଇଲ୍ ଆସିଲା, this kind of event driven things ରେ ବି ଆମେ schedule କରିପାରିବା। ଓକେ, ବୁଝିହେଲା ଏଟା what is scheduling?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, then we'll see what are the components of Azure Data Factory. Okay, so components କଣ ଆମର ରହିବ, we have pipelines, we have activities, we have data sets, we have link service, we have integration runtime. So these are the components of Azure Data Factory. ଯେମିତି ଆମେ କହିବା କି pipelines କଣ, can anyone tell pipeline ଟା କଣ actually, what is pipeline? କିଛି basics idea ଅଛି what is pipeline?
It is one type of a bridge between our database to Azure. We can transport all the data from pipeline.
Okay, that is also right. So basically
We can
pipelines also, mhm.
We can read some information and clean it by some process, and we transform it. Apart from that, by transform, then we should the analysis and data analyst will collect the data.
Okay. So, pipeline is basically it's a series of activities, sequence of activities we can perform. Okay, it can be any number of sequences. Suppose ଯେମିତି ଆମେ we are copying the data. ଆମେ first କଣ କରୁଛେ ଗୋଟେ data copy କରୁଛେ ଗୋଟେ source ରୁ destination କୁ. That can be a pipeline. Okay, but ଆମେ କଣ କରିବା ନା suppose ଆମେ କହିଲେ କି ନାଇଁ ମତେ ଗୋଟେ data ରୁ copy କରିବାର ଅଛି, then ତାକୁ transform କରିବାର ଅଛି, then ତାକୁ filter କରିବାର ଅଛି, like multiple transformations ଆମେ apply କରିକି, then ତାକୁ ଆମକୁ finally ଗୋଟେ destination ରେ copy କରିବାର ଅଛି. That is also pipeline. That's a series of activities. First ଆମେ copy କଲେ, then ଆମେ ତାକୁ transform କଲେ, then ଆମେ ତାକୁ aggregate କଲେ, then ଆମେ ତାକୁ finally ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ destination ରେ put କଲେ. And that is a pipeline. So pipeline things you have to understand. Okay. So pipeline basically ଆମର ଏଠି ଯୋଉ ହଉଛି ADF pipeline. So most of the things ଯେତେବେଳେ question ପଚାରିବେ interview so they will ask you like what is the ADF pipeline? Have you ever used that ADF pipeline or not? So these are the questions might come. Okay, that what is the pipeline? Because pipeline go to jinsa everywhere you have to learn. Okay, you will get these terms in everywhere, like in Azure Databricks also. Then here also there are many things. Sorry, there are many places where you will be you'll be getting this term like what is pipeline? What are the use of pipeline? Okay, so basically it's a series of activities, and it can be any type of activities. It can be a copy activities, it can be transformation, it can be any kind of also if you want to apply some machine learning also. I'm giving you an example, like also I'm the AI related activities kichhi bhi yadi kariba, that also we can set up in a pipeline. Okay, so basically that's a pipeline. So we'll see that how can we create the pipeline. It's a very easy one. Then we have the activities. So I told you like this series of activities, that means combination of multiple activities is a pipeline. But one pipeline, gote pipeline amara multiple activities rehpe. Activities mane kon kon heipare? It can be anything. It can be a transformation, it can be a filter, it can be a select, it can be a anything. Okay, copy the data. Okay, so this is called activities. So in the top hierarchy, we have the pipelines. Under that, we have set of activities. Then under that, we have data set. So data set is nothing but suppose we are using some data. Okay, data set ମାନେ କ'ଣ? We are using some data. Like ଯେମିତି ହେଇଗଲା କି ଆମର ଗୋଟେ source ଅଛି. ଆମେ ଯେମିତି କହୁଛେ କି ଗୋଟେ SQL DB କୁ ଆମେ connect କରୁଛେ. That is a data set. ଯୋଉ ଡେଟାକୁ ଆମେ କପି କରୁଛେ, ଯୋଉ ଡେଟା ଉପରେ ଆମେ କିଛି ବି ଆକ୍ଟିଭିଟିଜ ପରଫର୍ମ କରୁଛେ, that is called a data set. Okay, so basically just try to understand the hierarchy. These all are the hierarchies. Like at the top ରେ ଆମର କ'ଣ ହେଲା? Pipelines which consist of multiple activities. Under that one activities means ଗୋଟେ action ଯୋଉ ଆମେ perform କରୁଛେ, that is a activity. One pipeline can consist of multiple activities. Okay, then we have data set. Okay, so data set is means ଆମର କ'ଣ? ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ data set ଉପରେ କିଛି ବି activity perform କରୁଛେ, that is a data set. Then we have link service. is it ବୁଝିହେଲା what is pipelines, what is activities and what is data set?
Yes,
କାହାର
sir.
କିଛି doubts ଅଛି? ସବୁ clear ତ? Okay, so link service. So this is also one of important components of Azure Data Factory, link service. link service ମାନେ କ'ଣ? I'm repeatedly saying that we can connect. I mean basically ଆମର କ'ଣ ରହୁଛି କି connectors, 100 plus connectors are available in Azure Data Factory. So ଆମର ବହୁତ ସାରା connectors ଅଛି, but how to connect that? Suppose ମତେ SQL DB କୁ connect କରିବାର ଅଛି. Okay, it can be MySQL DB, it can be Oracle. Suppose ମତେ connect କରିବାର ଅଛି, but for that connection, how will you connect that? It's not like, because we are not coding. Basically ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ connect କରୁଛୁ in other language, if you know the other languages, so here what we are doing, first we are using some JDBC connections to connect to the database. Okay, but here, as I mentioned, that there is no code, like we don't have to write any code. Then how can you connect it? So basically, to connect to the from Azure to other services, we need some link service. Okay, so link service first we need to create, so that we can establish the connection between the Azure, between the source to Azure data factory, or between Azure data factory to the destination. So link service को हमको first we have to set up, से setup टा କରିବାକୁ पड़िବ, link service setup, then only ଆମେ connection କରିପାରିବା and we can fetch the data. Okay, so link service is very important component of data factory, because link service through ହିଁ ଆମେ connect କରିପାରିବା, or else we cannot connect. So to connect it, we need to set up the link service. Okay, we need to set up the link service. Okay, so link service ହଉଛି ଗୋଟେ main component. So basically I'll just diagrammatically I'll show you how to create. Okay, so basically ଆମର ଗୋଟେ ରହିଗଲା ଏଟା କଣ, source ରହିଲା, this is our destination, ଏଇଟା ଆମର କଣ ରହିଲା, source, src source, okay, এটা ଆମର କଣ ରହିଲା, source ଆଉ destination ଆମର ରହିଲା. But how to connect to the source? Basically ଆମେ ତ directly connect କରିପାରିବା ନା, ଆମେ କଣ କରିବା ନା, ଆମେ ଏଇଟା କଣ ହେଲା, ADF ଆମର ରହିଲା. Okay, so source को ADF ଆମେ କେମିତି connect କରିପାରିବା, through link service. I can say ls link service. So link service ଆମେ first connect କରିବା, so that କଣ କରିବ, source ର ଯାହା ବି data ଅଛି, जो I mean it's not about whatever data we have in source, whatever the necessary data we need, that we can connect and that we can fetch to data factory first. Then we can apply the necessary transformation, select, or any kind of activities we can perform on the top of that data. Then we can finally load that to the destination. Also from ADF to loading, from ADF to loading to destination, we need also another link service. Okay, so whatever we need, basically source to ADF को connect करने पे हमें जहाँ दरकार, that is also link service we need. Also ADF to destination पे हमारा connect करने पे we need a link service. Okay, so both the ways we need link service. So basically link service कौन, हमें गोटे connect करिया पे गोटे external source हो कि internal source हो, whatever, if you want to connect to that, then we need a link service. Everyone got it? What is link service? What is the use of this? Because this is very important. What is link service? Link service, pipeline, these all are the activities are very important.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, link service is like another software or is present in the ADF.
No, it's present in ADF. It's present in ADF. Only you need to set up that. Okay, before creating any pipeline, you need to set up that. Or else also you, I mean, it's not like before you have to do it, but you can create it on the, while creating the pipeline, you can create it. So we'll see that. But it is already present in Azure Data Factory. Only thing is you need to configure that before creating a pipeline or while creating a pipeline.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay, so these are the components. Just try to understand the definition. So when we will see the demo, there you can see all these things. How can you set up this? Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So the process of like the source and ADF and the destination, we can
Mhm.
call it a pipeline
It's a
or
pipeline.
not?
It's completely a pipeline. Correct. Okay. The complete set we can call a pipeline. Okay, this is the pipeline we are creating. Okay, it's a small pipeline you can see, but it's a pipeline. Okay, this is completely we can say the set is complete called a pipeline.
Okay, sure.
Okay, and this a source to ADF and all this is called activity. So basically, this copy is a activity. This copy from I mean getting the data from source is activity. Then copying to destination, that is also activity. And we are performing everything in Azure Data Factory. So basically, ଆମର जो tools ଅଛି we are using that is a ADF tool ଆମେ use କରୁଛୁ जोटा कि it's a bridge basically ଆମ ଭିତରେ ଆଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ bridge ରହୁଛି so that source को ଆମେ copy କରୁଛେ then ତାକୁ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗାରେ store କରୁଛେ and ତାକୁ ଆମେ destination it's a kind of we can say that ETL load, okay, but here we are not performing any transformation, but we can perform the transformation directly. We are extracting and loading, and complete is it is called as a pipeline. Okay, and this is a data set. Basically source ରୁ ଆମେ ଯାହା ବି ଆଣୁଛେ that's a data set. And data set, don't think that data set ଆମର ଖାଲି ମାନେ it can be any format, DB format ରେ table format ରେ ରହିପାରିବ, file format ରେ ରହିପାରିବ. Okay, it can be anything. Okay,
That is store the real-time data in source.
sorry.
It store the real-time data, like directly store the real-time data in the source.
In the source, like you can fetch the data from source, right? So if you want to store it, you can store it here in destination. Okay, if you want to fetch real time data, yeah, right, real time data we can read it. Like suppose our source data is gote, if you want to read that real time data, that also you can do. Okay, you can read it and you can apply the transformation on that, and then you can store into any of the ADLS. Either it can be ADLS or it can be blob storage, anything. Okay.
Sir, ATF ରେ transformation ହବ sir.
Yes, ସବୁ କିଛି activity ଯାହା ବି ଆମେ perform କରୁଛେ that will be done in ADF. ADF ରେ ଆମେ read ବି କରିବା, ADF ରେ ଆମେ transformation ବି କରିବା, ADF ରେ ଆମେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ copy activity କରିପାରିବା, ଯାହା ବି ଆମେ ଦରକାର ଆମେ ତାକୁ କରିପାରିବା. Okay, ବେସିକାଲି ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଟୁଲ ରେ ଆମେ Azure Data Factory ସେ Azure ଭିତରେ ରହୁଛି. ଓକେ, ସେଟା ହଉଛି ଗୋଟେ ଡାଟା ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟରି, ଗୋଟେ ହଉଛି ରିସୋର୍ସ ଯୋଉଟାକୁ ଆମେ ୟୁଜ କରିକି ଗୋଟେ ଏକ୍ସଟର୍ନାଲ ଡାଟାକୁ ଆମେ एक्सटर्नल जोटा कि हमर Azure बाहर क्लाउड सिस्टम रो बाहर अछि ताको हमें कनेक्ट करिकी ताको रीड करूचे एंड ताको हमें हम Azure क्लाउड सिस्टम रे हमें ताको स्टोर करिकी रखुचे. ओके, दैट इज व्हाट द प्रोसेस इज. सी रियल टाइम डेटा कोड यूज होचे. So now I'll give you some insights. Okay, maybe it might be complex for you. So ଏବେ କଣ ହଉଛି ନା ସମସ୍ତେ most of the companies and most of the project they just want to keep their data in cloud system. ବିକଜ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ନିଜର ଗୋଟେ କାଲି ମୁଁ ଏଇଟା ବି ଏକ୍ସପ୍ଲେନ କରିଥିଲି ଯେତେବେଳେ ନିଜେ ଆମ ନିଜ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛେ ସପୋଜ ଆମକୁ କଣ ସପୋଜ ଆମେ ଡାଟାଟା କୋଉଠୁ ଷ୍ଟୋର କରିବା ହାର୍ଡ ଡିସ୍କରେ. ଓକେ, ଯେମିତି ଆମର ହାର୍ଡ ଡିସ୍କରେ ଷ୍ଟୋର କରିବା ଇଟ ମେ ବି ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆମର କଣ ସର୍ଭରରେ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଷ୍ଟୋର କରୁଛେ ଗୋଟେ ପର୍ସନାଲ ସର୍ଭର କି ହେଇଗଲା କି ଯୋଉଟା କି ଡେଡିକେଟେଡ ସର୍ଭର, ସେଟା ହଉଛି କଣ କରିବା ଆମେ ଅନ୍ ପ୍ରିମାଇସେସ ସିଷ୍ଟମ. ତା ପାଇଁ ଆମର କଷ୍ଟ ବହୁତ ଅଧିକା ରହୁଛି ବିକଜ ଆମେ ତାକୁ ଷ୍ଟୋରେଜ କଷ୍ଟ ଅଧିକା ରହୁଛି, ଦେନ୍ ଆମର ତାକୁ ମେଣ୍ଟେନାନ୍ସ କଷ୍ଟ ଅଧିକା ରହୁଛି. ଓକେ, ଦେନ୍ ଆମକୁ କଣ ତାକୁ ବି ଏଭ୍ରି ଟାଇମ ତାକୁ କଣ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ ଲାଇକ ଯେମିତି ମେଣ୍ଟେନାନ୍ସ କଷ୍ଟ, ଷ୍ଟୋରେଜ କଷ୍ଟ ଏଟା ସବୁ ଅଧିକା ରହୁଛି. ଦେନ୍ ଆମକୁ FTP ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ଟାଇପ୍ସ ର ଷ୍ଟୋରେଜ ଆମକୁ ରଖିବାକୁ ପଡୁଛି. ବଟ୍ ସେ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ହେଲାକୁ ଆମର ଯେତେବେଳେ ସବୁ ଯାକ ଏଇ ଜିନିଷ କରିବାକୁ ପଡୁଛି ଦ୍ୟାଟ ଇଜ ଏ ମେଣ୍ଟେନାନ୍ସ କଷ୍ଟ ଆମର ଅଧିକା ରହିଯାଉଛି. ମେଣ୍ଟେନିଂ, ଷ୍ଟୋରିଂ, ଦେନ୍ ପ୍ରୋସେସିଂ ତାର କଷ୍ଟ ଆମର ଅଧିକ ହେଇଯାଉଛି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଅନ୍ ପ୍ରିମିସିସ୍ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛୁ. ବଟ୍ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ କ୍ଲାଉଡ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛେ ସୋ ୟୁ ଡୋଣ୍ଟ ହାଭ ଟୁ ପେ ମଚ୍. ଆମେ ଯେତିକି ୟୁଜ କରିବା ସେତିକି ପେମେଣ୍ଟ କରିବା. ଓକେ, ଲାଇକ ସପୋଜ ଆମେ ଯେମିତି କହିଥିଲି ସପୋଜ ଆମର ରିକ୍ୱାରମେଣ୍ଟ ହଉଛି 1 TB ଡେଟା. ଓକେ, ଇଟ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ବି ଇନକ୍ରିଜ. ବଟ୍ 1 TB ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ ପରଚେଜ କରିବା ଅନ୍ ପ୍ରିମିସିସ୍ ସିଷ୍ଟମରେ which will cost more. 1 TB ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ରଖିବା ଦେନ୍ ତା ଉପରେ କଣ କରିବା କି ଜଣକୁ ମେଣ୍ଟେନାନ୍ସ ପାଇଁ ଆମକୁ କଷ୍ଟ ଏକ୍ସଟ୍ରା ପଇସା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ. ଦେନ୍ you have to hire some people or someone who will take care of this everything, you have to do it. But Azure हो कि any cloud based system ସେମାନେ କଣ କହିଲେ कि we don't have to do much, you don't have to do much thing, uh, you don't have to bother about like how the maintenance will happen. Okay, you don't have to bother, you just have to pay for this 1 TB you have to use, a processing use करार ଅଛି, a CPU use करार ଅଛି, a RAM use करार ଅଛି, you have to pay for that. Okay, it's a rental basis, ଯେତିକି ତମେ ୟୁଜ କରିବ ସେତିକି ତମେ ପେ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ. It may be 1 hour, it may be 1 minute, it may be 15 days or 1 month. Okay, so that in this case the cost is less. Okay, see ଯେତେବେଳେ କ'ଣ ହଉଛି ନା ସପୋଜ ତମେ 1 TB ଡାଟା ଷ୍ଟୋର କରୁଛ, ଇଟ୍ସ ନଟ୍ ଲାଇକ୍ ସବୁବେଳେ ତମ 1 TB ଡାଟା ହିଁ ତମର ରହୁଛି. ସମଟାଇମ୍ସ ଅକେଜନାଲି କ'ଣ ହୁଏ ନା ଡାଟା ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମର ପିକରେ ବଢିଯାଏ ତ ସେଇ ଟାଇମରେ ହିଁ ତମେ 1 TB ଡାଟା ତମର ଦରକାର, ରିକ୍ୱାରମେଣ୍ଟ ଦରକାର. ବଟ୍ ଅଦର ଡେଜରେ ସପୋଜ ଏମିତି ହେଇଗଲା କି ଫେଷ୍ଟିଭ ସିଜନରେ ତମର ଡାଟାଟା ଷ୍ଟୋର କରିବାକୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେଟା ଅଧିକ ଥାଏ, ବଟ୍ ଅଦର ଦ୍ୟାନ୍ ଫେଷ୍ଟିଭ ସିଜନ ତ ବି ରହିଲା, ସେ ସିଜନରେ କ'ଣ ହୁଏ ଆମର ଡାଟା ଏତେ ୟୁଜର ୟୁଜ କରନ୍ତିନି, ଡାଟାଟା କମ ଥାଏ. Okay, I mean you can take the example of any of the e-commerce site ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆମର ବହୁତ ସାରା ୟୁଜର ସେଟାକୁ ୟୁଜ କରନ୍ତି, ବଟ୍ it's not every day, on specific day ରେ ସେଟା ୟୁଜ କରାହୁଏ. ବଟ୍ ଏଥିରେ କ'ଣ ହଉଛି ନା ଯଦି ବି ଏଇ ଟାଇପର ସିନାରିଓ ଆସିଲା ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି ଅଧିକ ୟୁଜର୍ସ ୟୁଜ କଲେ, ଅଧିକ ଡାଟା ରିକ୍ୱାରମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଲା, ଇଟ୍ ହାଜ ଦ କ୍ୟାପାବିଲିଟି ଅଫ ଅଟୋ ସ୍କେଲିଂ ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆମର ଇନବିଲ୍ଟ ପ୍ରୋଭାଇଡ ହଉଛି କ୍ଲାଉଡ ସିଷ୍ଟମରେ, Azure କ୍ଲାଉଡ ସିଷ୍ଟମରେ. Okay, so that is the benefits of this cloud system use କରିବାର benefit ହଉଛି ଏଟା କି ଆମର cost ହେଇଗଲା. And another thing is କି ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆମର ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ 100 we can say 99% SLA ଯୋଉଟା କୁହାଯାଏ ସର୍ଭିସ ଲେଭେଲ ଆଗ୍ରିମେଣ୍ଟ, ଯୋଉଟା କି Azure ପ୍ରୋଭାଇଡ କରୁଛି, ମାଇକ୍ରୋସଫ୍ଟ ପ୍ରୋଭାଇଡ କରୁଛି କି there is a less failure, less outage, all these things. ତ ଆମକୁ ଏଇଟା କିଛି ମେଣ୍ଟେନ କରିବାକୁ ପଡେ, ଆମକୁ ସେଇଟା ୟା ଉପରେ କିଛି ମାନେ you don't have to bother about it. Okay, you don't have to think about it like how the maintenance will happen, what will happen if some outage came. Also ଆମକୁ ବି कंपनी को କଣ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବନି କି like extra people hire କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବନି କି ସବୁ maintenance କୁ କିଛି monitor କରିବା ପାଇଁ. So that is why most of the companies they want to copy their data, they want to transfer their data from the on-prem to the Azure or to the AWS or to the cloud, any of the cloud system. ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆମେ କଣ କରୁଛୁ, it's a copy activity ଯେମିତି ମୁଁ କହିଲି. ମାନେ ଡେଟା ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ୍ରିଟା ଆମେ କୋଉଠି ୟୁଜ କରୁଛୁ, ମୋଷ୍ଟ ଅଫ ଦ ଟାଇମ ଗୋଟେ ଅଲଗା ସର୍ଭରରୁ କ୍ଲାଉଡ ସିଷ୍ଟମକୁ ଡାଟା କପି କରିବା ପାଇଁ କି ଡାଟାକୁ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଫର କରିବା ପାଇଁ, କିଛି ବି କରିବା ପାଇଁ we are using that. Okay, ବୁଝିହେଲା where we are using Azure data factory and କ'ଣ ପାଇଁ ଆମେ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛେ. So these are the common questions you can expect, not in this direct way, but in an indirect way. Interviewer can ask you this question: what is the need of Azure data factory, why you need this? So you have to answer. ବୁଝିହେଲା ନା କାହାର ଡାଉଟ୍ସ ଅଛି କ'ଣ, why we are using ADF, what is the real time scenario?
Hello.
Yes.
So the last component, like integration runtime, what does it mean?
Integration runtime is a kind of cluster. Okay, suppose ଆମକୁ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ, if you have to do some kind of transformation, so transformation needs a high complex, I mean it's a complex cluster needed. Okay, sorry, high configuration cluster needed. Okay, kind of cluster means, you know, cluster or like so like cluster is basically it's a kind of system, we can say virtual machine जोटा कि आम जमी गोटे लैपटॉप यूज कर लैपटॉप सीपीयू रैम एटा सब अच्छे. सिमिलर वे इन इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम इज व्हाट वी नीड सम क्लस्टर टू रन आवर कोड. ओके, बेसिकली ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन आम जो करूचे, किसी एग्रीगेशन करूचे, किसी सिलेक्ट करूचे, जॉइन करूचे, स्प्लिट करूचे, ऑल दिस थिंग्स वी नीड सम इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम थ्रू व्हिच आमर कोडटा सेटा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन करिया पे गोटे कंप्यूट पावर दरकार. दैट इज कॉल्ड इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम. बेसिकली यार वर्जन अच्छी को क्लस्टर यूज करिबा, को कोन टाइम यूज करछे, स्पार्क यूज करछे कि कोन करछे, दीज ऑल आर द अवेलेबल. बेसिकली हम इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम सिलेक्ट करले एवरीथिंग विल बी इंस्टॉल्ड देयर. दैट इज व्हाट इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम. ओके, बेसिकली हम कोन को हम होचे कि कोन कॉपी हे गेला, दैट इज फाइन. कॉपी इज अ सिंपल एक्टिविटी, बट ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन एक्चुअली incur more cost and also it takes more time because transformation କରୁଛେ ମାନେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଡେଟା ଅଛି ଆମର ସପୋଜ ଆମର 1 GB ଅଫ ଡେଟା ଅଛି ତାକୁ ଆମେ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଫର୍ମ କରୁଛେ ତ ତା ପାଇଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ 1 GB ଅଫ ଡେଟା ଉପରେ ଆମେ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଫର୍ମେସନ କମ୍ପ୍ୟୁଟେସନ କରୁଛେ then it takes 2x or 3x more compute power. Okay, তো ସେଇ ଯୋଉ 3x more power compute power ଦରକାର ତା ପାଇଁ ଆମର କଣ ଦରକାର we need some cluster ଗୋଟେ machine ଦରକାର ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି ସେଇଟା compute କରିବ ଆମ ଲ୍ୟାପଟପ କି ଆମ ପିସି କଣ କରୁଛି ଏଟା କମ୍ପ୍ୟୁଟିଂ କରୁଛି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଡାଟା କପି କରୁଛେ କି କାହା କିଛି ବି କରୁଛେ ଇଟ୍ସ କମ୍ପ୍ୟୁଟ କରୁଛି similar to that କି compute କରିବା ପାଇଁ we need some integration runtime or else how will run we need some cluster. Okay, that is what it means integration runtime.
Sir, cluster means what, sir?
Cluster means it's a kind of like cluster ହଉଛି ଗୋଟେ combination of nodes. Okay, so basically ଦେଖ ତମେ ପିସି ୟୁଜ କରୁଛ ପିସି ରେ କଣ ହଉଛି ଆମର ମାନେ ପିସି ରେ କଣ ସିପିୟୁ ରହୁଛି ସିପିୟୁ ରେ କେତେ କୋର ଅଛି RAM କେତେ ରହୁଛି ତମେ 8 GB RAM ୟୁଜ କରୁଛ କେତେ ହାର୍ଡ ଡିସ୍କ କେତେ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛ 512 GB ହଉ କି 1 TB ଅଫ ହାର୍ଡ ଡିସ୍କ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛ ସେଇଟା କଣ ତମର ଫିଜିକାଲ ଷ୍ଟୋରେଜ ଗୁଡା ସବୁ ରହୁଛି ସିଷ୍ଟମ ରହୁଛି ଏ ରହୁଛି ବଟ୍ କ୍ଲାଉଡ ରେ କଣ ହଉଛି ନା ଇଟ୍ସ ଆମର ଭର୍ଚୁଆଲ ମେସିନ୍ସ ରହୁଛି ସେମ୍ ଥିଙ୍ଗ ଯାହା ବି ତମେ ପିସି ରେ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛ ସେମ୍ ଜିନିଷ ରହୁଛି ବଟ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ ଭର୍ଚୁଆଲି ଆଭେଲେବଲ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ ନଟ୍ ଫିଜିକାଲି ଲ୍ୟାପଟପ ପିସି ତମର କଣ ଏଟା ଆମର ଫିଜିକାଲି ଆଭେଲେବଲ ହଉଛି ଆମେ ତାକୁ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛେ ବଟ୍ ସେମ୍ ଜିନିଷ ସେମାନେ କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଭର୍ଚୁଆଲି ତମକୁ ପ୍ରୋଭାଇଡ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସୋ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ କଣ ତାକୁ ୟୁଜ କରିକି ତମେ କିଛି ବି ଷ୍ଟୋର କରିପାରିବ କିଛି ବି ପ୍ରୋସେସ କରିପାରିବ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ ୱାଟ୍ ଦ ଭର୍ଚୁଆଲ ମେସିନ୍ ସେ ଯୋଉ ଭର୍ଚୁଆଲ ମେସିନ୍ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ ଦରକାର ଆମକୁ ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି ଆମେ ଆମର ଏକ୍ସିକ୍ୟୁସନ କରିପାରିବା ଓକେ ବିକଜ ଦେଖ एडीएफ जो भी हमें रन करिबा हमें रन करिया पे गोटे वर्चुअल मशीन दरकार हमको ओके वी नीड सम समथिंग टू एग्जीक्यूट आवर कोड टू कॉपी एक्टिविटी जहां भी करिया पे वी नीड सम एग्जीक्यूशन तो सेटा केमती करियो राइट सो टू डू दैट वी नीड सम इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड ए क्लस्टर सो क्लस्टर बेसिकली कोन होची ना एटा गोटे टाइप रो हमरो वर्चुअल मशीन वी कैन से it can be a single virtual machine it can be a combination of multiple virtual machine बट भर्चुआल मशीन होची हमर लैपटॉप जहा होची गोटे फिजिकल मशीन सेटा होची भर्चुअल मशीन ओके जोटा कि हमर क्लाउड रे अवेलेबल अछि सिमिलर टू देखो जेमती हला मु कहले कि हमें फिजिकली गोटे स्टोर करूचे सर्वर रूम हमर रहउची फिजिकली हमें स्टोर करूचे डाटा को तपे हमें हार्ड डिस्क फिजिकली रहउची सिमिलर टू दैट हमर कोन होची ना गोटे भर्चुअल मशीन भी रहउची ओके जेमती हमर सिस्टम रे फिजिकली रहला सिमिलर टू दैट हमर भर्चुअल मशीन टा भर्चुअली अवेलेबल ओके ओनली हमको कोन करे अपन सेति मेमोरी पावर हो राम हो ताको हमको परचेज करके यूज करियार अछि सो सेटा वर्चुअल ओके सो वर्चुअल माने जोटा कि हमरो फिजिकली नुहे बट हमरो क्लाउड सिस्टम रे वर्चुअल मशीन अछि जोटा कि हमें यूज करिकी हमर डाटा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कर परछि ओके दैट इज व्हाट इट इज बुझिला एटा व्हाट इज क्लस्टर टा हमरो आगु को दरकार ओके यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट
Hello, sir. Sir,
यस
that means activities and integrated runtime both are same.
activities and non activities କେମିତି ହେଇଗଲା activities ଆମେ set of activities କରୁଛେ ଓକେ କପି ହେଇଗଲା ट्रांसफर these are the activities बट ଆମେ activities ଟା perform କୋଉଠି ହବ ଓକେ ତମକୁ ଏବେ କହିବି କି ତମେ ପେନ ଡ୍ରାଇଭ ରୁ ତମର ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ମୋବାଇଲ କୁ डाटा कॉपी करो ओके
Right.
so you need some intermediate like you can directly do that there is an option OTG option we can do that but suppose ମୁଁ କହିବି କି without using that option how you will transfer କେମିତି କରିବ ତମେ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ କଣ କରିବ ତାକୁ ପେନ ଡ୍ରାଇଭ ରେ କନେକ୍ଟ କରିବ ମୋ ସିଷ୍ଟମ କୁ ପିସି की ସେଠୁ कॉपी କରିବ देन अगेन से पीसी ରୁ अगेन तम मोबाइल को ट्रांसफर କରିବ राइट सो यू नीड ए
Yes, sir.
मीडियम पीसी गोटे मीडियम हैला जहा थ्रू रे तमे ताको कॉपी करि पाउछ राइट सो दैट इज हाउ यू नीड सम मीडियम बेसिकली ए जो एक्टिविटीज को परफॉर्म करिया पई यू नीड सम you can say it's a kind of cluster okay जो गोटे माने पीसी टाइप रो सिस्टम यू नीड जोथरे कि तमे ए जो एक्टिविटीज टा परफॉर्म करि परिबो दैट इज व्हाई यू नीड इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम काहे कि इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम एटा को हगला बिकॉज़ पीसी रो गोटे कॉन्फ़िगरेशन अछि तमे जब पीसी परचेस करछो कॉन्फ़िगरेशन करछो को सीपीयू हम यूज करिबा को माने प्रोसेसर यूज करछो ओएस यूज करछो ऑल दीस थिंग्स सो बेसिकली ए जो कॉम्बिनेशन रहेगला दैट इज कॉल्ड इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम बेसिकली आम सपोज जमती एठी रोची हमर स्पार्क रो को वर्जन यूज करिबा कि हमर को केते जीबी रैम यूज करूचे सो बेसिकली या एटा डिपेंड करे कि तुम डाटा प्रोसेसिंग केते फास्ट हो, राइट? जेमती तुम पीसी परचेस कला पर जहाँ जहाँ भी तुम देखुछ, सिमिलर टू दैट इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम, तुम इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम सिलेक्ट कले ही यू कैन confirm that हाँ मते एतिकी जीबी रो रैम अच्छी, एतिकी हार्ड डिस्क अच्छी, so that I can store this much of memory and I can process this much of memory. So integration runtime होची सेटा, but activity होची setup activity perform करछो, तमे copy करछो transfer, that is activities, but एटा कोठी perform करिवो, you need some system where you can perform. Okay, सेटा होची integration runtime. I'll show you, okay, ये जो जिनसटा इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम टा केमिति सेटअप करा, बट एटा एक्चुअली मोस्टली तमे देखि पर, बट एटा कांसेप्ट तुम बुझिया पड़ो। ओके, एक्टिविटीज पाइपलाइन अदर थिंग्स तमे एटा देखिले जानि परिबो व्हाट इज दैट, बट इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड सेटा कोन पे यूज होची, माने तुम विजुअलाइज करने ट्राई करो व्हाट इज इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम। तमे जोटा फिजिकली करूछो लैपटॉप रे कि पीसी रे, सेटा तमे सेम जिंस तमे वर्चुअली करिवो। ओके, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ତମର ଏଟା ଦରକାର इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम तुमको सिलेक्ट କରିବାକୁ पड़िबो, सो दैट सेही इंटीग्रेशन रन टाइम अनुसार तुम डेटार स्पीड, ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन स्पीड हो कि कॉपी स्पीड हो, सेटा डिपेंड करे। ओके, पूरा कंपेयर करे कि तमे जहां भी समय करूछो। ओके, जो डाटा कॉपी कहूची सिमिलर टू तमे तो कंपेयर करिवो तमे लैपटॉप रे केमती कॉपी करूछो, पेन ड्राइव रे कॉपी करूछो, राइट? पेन ड्राइव रे तुमरा स्लॉट अछि, लाइक तमे तमर पेन ड्राइव के दीटा कि तीनटा स्लॉट थाए, गोटे कोड स्लॉट अछि जोटे कि हमरो स्पीड ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हुए। तो सेटा डिपेंड करे तमे को सर्वर यूज करछो, कोन यूज करछो, प्रोसेसर यूज करछो। तो सेई सब जिंस गुडा को तमे केमती करिवो, गोटे सिंपल कॉपी जेतले डाटा के पेन ड्राइव रो गोटे तमे ड्राइव को कॉपी करूछो, सिमिलर टू दैट तमे एठी भी गोटे बाहर सिस्टम रो एडीएफ रे जहां भी एडीएलएस को कॉपी करूछो। तो कॉपी एक्टिविटी करिया पई हेले तमे एते बडे मल्टीपल कॉन्फ़िगरेशन रो लैपटॉप, कहार 8 जीबी रैम रो लैपटॉप अछि, कहार 16 जीबी रैम रो लैपटॉप अछि। सो somehow this is faster, right? 8 GB RAM to 16 GB RAM टा somehow faster. Similar to that ଆମେ ଯଦି integration run time ରେ 8 GB RAM ର यूज କରିବା, then it can be slower, but ଆମେ 16 GB RAM ର କିଛି ବି यूज କରିବା, then it will be faster, right? It's kind of virtual machine କୋ system ଆମେ यूज କରୁଛୁ। Okay,
Yes, sir, I can understand. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see that. Okay, ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଇଏ ଟାଇମ୍ ରେ ଏଟା ଦେଖିବା, ସବୁ ଯାକ activities ଦେଖିବା, but before that you need to understand these things. Okay, ଏଇ ଜିନିଷ ଗୁଡ଼ା ସବୁ ଯାକ ଆମର ଦରକାର, ପାଇପଲାଇନ କେମିତି ହଉଛି, ବିଲ୍ଟ ହଉଛି, କଣ ହଉଛି, you need to understand the concept. Okay, let's move to the next topic.
जितेन सर,
Yes.
डाटाबेस रे जदि आमे किसी काम करछो, किसी आमे लेटेंसी फील करछो ना,
हम्म।
तो एज्योर जतो क्लाउड रे आमे किसी काम करे एमती किसी लेटेंसी फील होबो
हाँ,
ना, एवरीथिंग
latency,
केयर बाय माइक्रोसॉफ्ट,
ना
मतलब
नहीं,
जो भी।
एवरीथिंग latency देखो, latency बहुत माने माइनर आसीबो एठी। ओके, बिकॉज देखो Azure हमरो क्लेम करछि कि देयर विल बी वेरी लेस latency. ओके, सो latency टा दैट डिपेंड करे कि तमे को टाइप रो माने को टाइप रो केते वॉल्यूम रो डाटा तमे ट्रांसफॉर्म करूछो, एंड डिपेंड करे को टाइप रो डाटा बेसिकली कनेक्शन रे तो तमे एक्सटर्नल सिस्टम को कनेक्ट करूछो एंड ऑल, देन एट दैट टाइम you might get some latency, but Azure claim करूछे कि there will be very very minor latency you will get. Okay,
ओके,
so
तो
all
मोर
these things
10टा
will be
पाइपलाइन
managed.
चल,
हम्म।
तो 10टा पाइपलाइन रे एमती किसी इशू आसीबनी, गोटे पाइपलाइन इशू आसीबो, बाकी पाइपलाइन बराबर चलथिबो।
that depend करे डाटा वॉल्यूम ऊपर ना, केते वॉल्यूम रो डाटा तमे ट्रांसफॉर्म करूछो।
ओके, तार
ओके,
डेस्टिनेशन सॉरी सोर्स ऊपर।
यस, यस, सोर्स ऊपर तमे केते वॉल्यूम रो डाटा तमे ट्रांसफॉर्म करूछो, तमे डाटा केते डाटा कॉपी करछो, कोन करछो, दैट एटा डिपेंड करे। ओके,
थैंक यू।
okay, this kind of questions also you can expect in interview. Okay, so I thought like I'll just complete that after my, I mean, demo sarla par I'll just cover that, but yeah, he just brought it up like this kind of question you can expect, like suppose 100 pipelines are running, so and whether how can you manage this kind of question might come.
ओके,
Okay, suppose our 100 মানে 6টা pipeline run হଉଛି parallelly, so in that case one pipeline is taking time or something, then how can you identify that? So basically
yes,
you can check
exactly.
that, you can check that the data, like which data which pipeline is taking a lot of time, what is the source, how many, how much
Source
data
may be
it took.
different, no? Like one
Source
source
may
is
be
like
different.
to
Yeah, yeah.
pointing is API, another
Correct,
source
correct,
is
correct.
pointing
Yeah.
to DB.
Yes, 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 correct. So source can be different, okay? Different source. Definitely, like, because also there is some connection issues are there, okay? Because suppose you are connecting to a different server, okay, it
Mm-hmm.
can be different. Some server it can process the data faster, and some server connection is slower compared to other sources. So these kind of things that will happen, okay? It's not like that might happen, that will happen, and that depends on kind of source it is, okay?
Okay.
So real time, this is the real time questions, okay, you can expect. So everybody just try to suppose ଆମର 100ଟା connection ଅଛି, so how can you connect? Okay, they might ask you the question like, suppose there are multiple sources may be, it can be DB, it can be file, it can be Salesforce, it can be anything, okay? So how can you connect the data, and how can you, I mean, you have to build a pipeline. What would be your process? They will ask you this question. So suppose ସେମାନେ ପଚାରିବେ କି ତମେ ଗୋଟେ process କରିବାର ଅଛି, like not pipeline. They will not ask you that directly that you have to build a pipeline. They will only ask you that suppose ତମର ତିନିଟା source ଅଛି, ଗୋଟେ file format ରେ ଅଛି, ଗୋଟେ DB ରେ ଅଛି, ଗୋଟେ Salesforce ରେ ଅଛି, okay? or maybe ଗୋଟେ ମାନେ JSON format ହଉ କି ଆମର DB format ରେ, NoSQL DB format ରେ ଅଛି, but ତମକୁ ସବୁ ଯାକ ଡାଟା କୁ ଆଣିକି ସବୁ ଯାକ ଡାଟା କୁ combine କରିକି copy କରିବାର ଅଛି, okay, ଗୋଟେ destination. So how will you do that? Then you have to explain the process. First, you have to connect from the ADF, you have to connect to all three sources. Then you have to fetch the data. Then finally, all three data ku तुमको combine करार अछि. Okay, combine means completely join करके ताकू single data बनार अछि. Then you have to apply some transformation on the top of that. Then you can store that. You can basically store to the in the ADLS or any of the database you can store. That is the overall process, and you have to build a pipeline on the top of that. You have to build a pipeline. It can be Azure Data Factory pipeline, it can be any other pipeline. But this is the functional questions. Okay, I also got these questions in my interview. Okay, when I appeared for the interview, so that is one questions. Okay, that is the real time question the interviewer will ask you for testing your understanding. Okay, he wants to test your understanding, like how you understand the pipeline concept, how you want to build basically the pipeline design କେମିତି ଜାଣିଛ କି ନାହିଁ, those things ଏଇଠୁ test କରିବା ପାଇଁ they will ask you this kind of questions. Okay, so be prepared for that. Okay, so this is the pipeline. So basically this is a data driven workflow. So pipeline is nothing but you can say that it's a series of activities you can perform on a data, or else you can say that data driven workflows. Basically data driven means data is being transformed from one step to another. Basically we are reading the here we are reading the CSV file. Then from the CSV file, we are loading into the blob storage. Then from the blob storage, we are using the Azure Data Factory for transformation. Basically, all these things we are using through Azure Data Factory. Then again, we are loading that data to Azure SQL database. Then also we can use it for the SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so this is a series of activities we are performing on a single data, and each activities that will contain different type of, I mean, same data but different transform data. Okay, because ଏଠୁ ଆମେ ଯୋଉ ଡାଟାଟା ନଉଛେ CSV ରୁ ଯୋଉ ବ୍ଲକ୍ କୁ ନଉଛେ, it can be same type, it can be different type. Okay, same data ଆମେ copy କରିପାରିବା, also like ଯଦି କିଛି transformation requirement ବି ଅଛି, that also we can perform while storing. Then Azure Data Factory through ରେ ଆମେ କଣ କରିବା, SQL database ରେ ବି ତାକୁ store କରିପାରିବା. So this is a kind of we can say pipeline. Okay, so either we can move or transform the data. That is what we need. And the most important thing is transformation. Okay, the complex part, how can you transform the data? Data transformation ଯେତିକି ତମେ SQL ରେ ଯାହା ବି ପଢିଛ, okay, like ଯାହା ବି starting from join ho, filter ho, select ho, then aggregations ho, then sort ho, ଯାହା ବି ho, okay, all these things you have to include here while transforming the data. Okay, So this is what we call pipeline. This is the pipeline, the data-driven workflows that define the steps required to move and transform the data. Okay. Okay. So activities, what are the activities? So pipeline, I told you, like these are the series of activities that is called a pipeline. And activities कौन रहुचे हमरो functional building blocks of pipeline, each performing a specific operation, and they are broadly categorized into data movement activities, transformation activities, control flow activities. Okay. ଯେମିତି ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି sorry, the pipeline is nothing but the it's a series of activities. Okay, it's a series of activities we are performing on a pipeline. So data that is called a pipeline. So को activities हमरो रहउची हमरो गोटे data movement activities जेमती कहली copy गोटे बाहर सर्वर हो कि बाहर सोर्स हो, okay, which is outside of the cloud, we are trying to copy that, or we are trying to move that data to the cloud system. So, okay, that is called a data movement activities. So these activities facilitate data transfer between the different storage systems. Okay, so you can see this is example like activities मैंने कौन which facilitate the data transfer between the different stage systems, storage systems. Okay. Then, for example, the copy data activity moves the data from blob storage to an Azure SQL database. And data transformation activities, these activities allow you to manipulate or process the data. Okay. Basically, transformation just I mentioned like you are manipulating the data, you are applying some transformation on that. So, our data ki multiple data achi, multiple DBs achi, multiple tables achi. So in that case हमें कौन कोचुरे टेबल को हमें join करूचे, then after that हमें filter करूचे, filter कला पर necessary column को select करूचे, then on that we are aggregating the data and we are sorting the data and finally we are generating the output. So these all are the transformation activities we are performing on the top of the multiple databases. So that is what called as a transformation. Movement is simple. गोटे डाटा आने आउट जगह पुट कर, that is the data movement. But data transformation is we are applying the series of manipulation activities. That is what a data transformation. So data flows are custom scripts that can be used to transform the data, aggregate the values, cleanse the data sets. Okay. So it's a custom scripts. Basically, you have to write some custom scripts. Okay. If you are using SQL, that you have to write it. But here you have to use no code. Only you have to select, drag and drop, select the feature, select the activity and use it. Okay. बुझेला এটা एकार डाउट्स अछि
Sir, is there any options available as blob storage, or we have to imagine that our data is in blob storage? Like,
no you, you have to select that blob storage gote अछि. Okay, the Azure blob storage अछि, Azure data lake storage अछि. There are multiple storage options. You have to select हमको कोठू डाटा सिलेक्ट करियर अछि एंड कोठू डाटा को कॉपी करियर अछि. आई मीन सोर्स एंड डेस्टिनेशन यू हैव टू सिलेक्ट. कारण लिंक सर्विस हमको सेटअप करिया पड़ो जेंति कहले लिंक सर्विस थ्रू रे ही हमें ताको कॉन्फ़िगर करियो हमरो डेस्टिनेशन कोन हमरो सोर्स कोन एंड कोठी हम डाटा को पुट करियो. जदि हमें कहबे कि नै मते डाटा लाइक स्टोरेज जेन 2 रे हमको करियर अछि, डाटा को स्टोर करियर अछि, वी कैन डू दैट. डिफॉल्ट किछि नै. ओके, यू हैव टू सेट अप दैट. These manage a logical flow of execution within the pipelines. Examples include conditional branching, loops, parallel execution, which provide flexibility in handling complex workflows. Basically, control flow activities are roles. Control flow activities कौन होचे ना, जैसे these it manages the logical flow of execution within the pipelines. Examples include conditional branching, loops, parallel execution, which provide flexibility in handling complex workflows. Basically ଆମେ ଯଦି parallel execution କରିବା ଯେମିତି କହିଲେ କି like without instead of doing the series execution of pipelines, if you perform the parallel execution of pipelines, then it can manage, basically it can manage this pipeline को हमें manage कर परिबा. Okay, that is what the control flow activities. So basically managing the pipelines, if you are running multiple 100 pipelines, then we have to manage that pipelines. Okay, we have to run that parallelly, and we have to execute that, and these are the complex workflow handling, because one pipeline is very simple, one or five pipeline is simple, but if it is more pipelines, then you have to manage it. Okay, or else uh, like that might incur more cost, and that might take more time. So these are the activities. One is data movement activities, which is simple thing. Data transformation is complex things that you have to implement. Then control flow activities, how to manage the pipelines if you are running multiple pipelines. Okay. Sorry. So next we will see what are the data sets. So data sets are representations of the data utilized in activities. They define the schema, format, and location of the data being ingested or processed. Okay. So data set basically ଆମର କଣ ହଉଛି ନା representation of data. ମାନେ ଆମେ କୋଉ ଡେଟା କୁ ଆମେ ଚାହୁଁଛେ କପି କରିବା ପାଇଁ କି ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଫର୍ମ କରିବା ପାଇଁ, that is called a data set. It can be a DB, it can be a file, it can be any of the STPP, any of the REST API data, it can be anything. There is no specific format. So जो डेटा को हमें जो सेट ऑफ डेटा को हमें ट्रांसफॉर्म କରିବାକୁ ଚାହିଁବା, that is called a data set. Okay. So data sets, for instance, a data set might describe CSV file in Azure Blob Storage. Okay, we can say that if you want to store a CSV file in Azure Blob Storage table in SQL database, data sets are the intermediary layer connecting activities to the actual data sources. Okay, and destinations. Okay. Data set can be anything. Example is CSV files. Our blob storage achi, CSV files achi, or a table. Okay. Data sets are the intermediary layer connecting the activities to actual data sources and destination. Just try to understand this part. I explained you. Data sets are the intermediary layer connecting activities to actual data sources and destinations. Okay. Basically, ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ suppose ଆମେ କଣ କରୁଛେ ନା data set ଆମେ suppose ଗୋଟେ data set ରୁ ଆମେ select କରୁଛେ. Okay, ଗୋଟେ source କୁ connect କରୁଛେ. तो सोर्स रे आमे सब डाटा तो नौने ना, जेतिकी डाटा हमर रिक्वायरमेंट अछि सेई डाटा को आमे नौचे, एंड ताकू आमे ता ऊपर जहां भी मैनिपुलेशन जहां भी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन एक्टिविटी करिके ताकू आमे डेस्टिनेशन में पुट करछ. सेई जो डाटा को जो डाटा ऊपर आमे ए जो एक्टिविटीज परफॉर्म कले, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ डाटा सेट. ओके, इट्स नॉट लाइक ऑल द डाटा. सपोज गोटे डीबी को कनेक्ट कले, डीबी रे आमे सब जगह डाटा हम गोटे स्पेसिफिक डाटा दरकार जोटा को आमे कॉपी करूचे, फिल्टर कंडीशन अप्लाई करूचे, किछि भी अप्लाई करूचे. सो जो डाटा को आमे सिलेक्ट करिके आमे ता ऊपर एक्टिविटीज परफॉर्म करूचे, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ डाटा सेट. That is what it is mentioned. A data set is the intermediary layer connecting activities to the actual data sources and destinations. Okay, that is called a data sets. बुझियला एटा, what is the data set? जो डेटा ऊपर हमें किसी भी एक्टिविटीज करूचे, that is called a data set. Okay. Then we'll see link service. I explained a link service is a connection string that enable activities and data sets to access the external systems and services. Okay, so link service means it's a service that is provided by Azure Data Factory, which is used to access the external data sets and external systems or services. So basically link service माने कोन ADF सहित बाहर भी जहां भी external data sets अछि ताको connect करिया पई we are using link services. You can simply understand that it's a connector. Okay, link service गोटे होची connector जोटा कि हमें यूज करिकी external system को हमें यूज करि पाछे. We can use external system using link service. Okay, that is a link service. It's a connector. Basically हमें जो 100 plus connectors available in data factory ମୁଁ ଯୋଉଟା କହିଥିଲି similar to the connector ମାନେ ସେ connectors available ଅଛି but ଆମେ establish କେମିତି କରିବା connection establish କେମିତି କରିବା we have to set up we have to configure the link service for that. Okay, here is an example like a link service can connect to an on-premises SQL server or a cloud-based data lake. Connect. So basically link service कौन କରୁଛି ना it can connect to on-premises SQL server or cloud-based data lake. It can connect, okay, anything. Basically external services or internal service it can connect. Just a second. Okay. Okay, then integration runtimes. So integration runtimes are the compute environments powered data movement transformation activity execution within the Azure Data Factory. ADA provides three types of integration runtime: Azure integration, self-hosted, SSIR. Okay. So integration runtime that I explained. What is integration? It's a compute environment. आमे जोटी computation करूचे. Compute माने कौन? Computer ही हमें compute कर परिबा, right? So this is a kind of compute environment. It power data movement and in transformation and activity execution within Azure Data Factory. So basically integration runtime को use करिके हमें सब के activities execution सब कुछ कर परिबा Azure रे. That is what I explained. It's a kind of cluster. Cluster माने कौन? गोटे compute करिया पे हमें cluster दरकार. It's a combination of multiple nodes. So ସେଥିପାଇଁ ହେଉଛି କ'ଣ integration runtime at the compute environment. Compute environment is nothing but a cluster that power the data movement. Basically जो transformation activity, if it is a simple data movement we don't need much compute power, but ଗୋଟେ ଯଦି complex transformation ଅଛି real time ରେ ଆମର ସବୁବେଳେ complex data copy हुए. Okay, huge volume of data copy हुए, huge volume of data ଉପରେ ଆମେ transformation करू. Okay, ଯାହା ବି activity execute करू, that we need to perform on a integration runtime. So ADA provides three types of integration runtime. One is Azure integration runtime. It's handles the cloud-based data integration task and is managed entirely by Azure. So Azure integration runtime that is managed by Azure only. Self-hosted means data movement. It's a data movement between on-premises system and the cloud, that making it ideal for hybrid scenarios. Okay, so self-hosted integration runtime, if you want to connect to the on-premises system, basically ଗୋଟେ ଅଲଗା ଗୋଟେ organization ର system କୁ ଆମକୁ connect କରିବାର ଅଛି and we have to fetch the data, then we have to maintain the self-hosted integrated runtime, because Azure integration runtime is only managed by Azure. Okay, if you want to connect to the external system or on-premises system, then in that case you need self-hosted integration runtime. Then we have SSIR, like SQL Server Integration Service. So it enable execution, it packages within Azure, allowing you to reuse the existing SSIR workflows in the cloud. Basically, it's another kind of integration runtime. That means using this integration runtime, you can reuse the existing workflows. Okay, basically, तमें कौन कर परिबा इरा को reuse कर परिबा. Okay, so mostly we are using for the complex activities, we are using the self-hosted integration runtime. Okay, so for you should only understand what is integration runtime. No need to remember this integration runtime. Okay, this is it's very less chance of being asked in question in interview, but you have to remember this integration. What is the meaning of this integration runtime? Because this integration runtime, it is present in all the cloud systems, so it can be asked what is integration runtime. Okay, it's a kind of compute environment we are using for processing the data, for data movement, data processing, data transformation, that you can answer.
Sir, can we say that the integration runtime has an engine that can connect to SQL? Simply as it?
No, we can connection is different, right? If you want to connect to SQL, if you want to connect, then that is a different thing. Connecting means you are establishing a connection, so that is a
Like
link
it
service
work
is
like
doing.
an engine.
Yeah, engine is basically yeah, it's a kind of thing. Okay, but engine is specifically for processing the data, but this compute environment, it can do multiple things. If you are restricting that it's engine, Okay, if you can say that it's a Spark engine or some different engine, then that is restricting something. Like it can only do this data transformation. It is only suitable for data movement. But this through this environment, we can perform all these activities. We have to perform some activities, right? So compute activities that can be done on this environment. Okay, engine is very small thing. Okay, but this compute environment is very large. It can perform. Basically, it is not performing. All the activities are performed on the top of that environment. Integration runtime is not doing anything. Okay, so all the
Okay.
activities are done on the top of that. That is what is integration runtime.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it.
Okay, ଯେମିତି ଆମେ କଣ କରୁଛେ ନା କିଛି ବି activities କରୁଛେ ଆମକୁ ଗୋଟେ place ଦରକାର. We need a house or anything. Okay, real time scenario ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ବୁଝିବା layman language ରେ. So to perform all kind of activities we need a place. Okay, ସେ place ଟା may be ଛୋଟ ହେଇପାରେ may be ବଡ ହେଇପାରେ. That depends on how we are managing that. Basically ସେ place କିଛି କରେନି but we are performing all our activities on that place. Similar to that, this is the integration runtime. ଯୋଉ ଜାଗାରେ କି ଆମେ ସବୁ ଯାକ activities perform କରୁ. We need some place, right? That is what integration runtime. So remember this one because e activities गुड़ा ए जो जहाँ भी मैं कहली, what is pipeline, what is link service, what is integration runtime, what is a data set, all these things can be asked in an interview. Okay, so integration runtime, it's not like only ADF. I mean, Google Podiva, Databricks and all. In that case also, we need this one. Okay, integration runtime. What is integration runtime? What is the version we are using? What kind of things we are using? Okay, mostly they will ask. Okay, but main question will be asked like what is integration runtime? What is the definition? Because see this why they will not ask about this thing because this will change the versions and the configuration that will change. But the definition will always be the same. So you need to know what is integration runtime. Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
ସାର୍
Mhm.
ଆମର ୟୁଜ୍ କେସ୍ କୁ ଦେଖି ଆମେ ଇଣ୍ଟିଗ୍ରେସନ ରନ୍ ଟାଇମ୍ ଚୁଜ୍ କରିବେ.
Yes. Okay.
Sir, is the self-hosted IR?
Mhm.
So can we connect our local Oracle to the ADF?
Yes. We can connect.
Like it's in the in our on-prem.
Yeah, it's an on-prem system. You can connect. Basically, there is a connector available in ADF. Okay, so using that you can connect, but you have to set up first like that host name, then the username, password, port, everything you have to set up. Once it is set up, then you can fetch the data. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So the rest to like the Azure IR and the SSR IR,
Mhm.
like it is like a different or the same or self-hosted IR?
No, it is different. Self-hosted IR and SSR both are different. Okay. So basically, it's a different types of integration runtime, which is used for the different activities, different set of data activities. Okay, these are scenarios like it is on-prem to cloud that can be used. We can use self-hosted. So self-hosted is basically we are creating our integration runtime for our activities. Okay, it's not managed by Azure. Basically, we are creating. SSIR is basically it's a SQL Server integration system. So it is basically we are creating a package. It allowing you to reuse the existing SSIS workflows in the cloud. Okay, that is called SSIS IR. Got it?
Oh yes, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, why integration runtime is so important, sir?
So integration runtime is important to basically all the activities whatever you are performing, you have to perform on the top of something, right? There is some place where you can perform all these activities, movement, transformation, and execution, and ADF. All these things you have to perform on the some place, right? So that's why where you will perform integration runtime you need it. You have to select that integration runtime, then only you can perform all kind of compute environments. Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
ମାନେ ତମକୁ ଏଇ ଅପସନଟା ଚୁଜ୍ କରି ହିଁ କରିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ ପିଲାମାନେ, ବୁଝିଲ ନା? ଇଣ୍ଟିଗ୍ରେସନ୍ ରନ୍ ଟାଇମ୍ଟା ଗୋଟେ କମ୍ପ୍ୟୁଟିଂ ଏନଭାୟରମେଣ୍ଟଟା, ଏଇଟା ନଥିଲେ ତମେ କେମିତି କାମ କରିବ?
ଗୋଟେ environment data, so you have to select that first. Select କଲା ପରେ ହିଁ then ତମକୁ ସେଟା ମାନେ ADF ଭାବିବ କି we have to ଆମକୁ ଏଇ environment ଉପରେ run କରିବାର ଅଛି, okay? Then it will run all your activities, all your data copies, okay, or transformations. Then you can say that selection, filtering of the data. Suppose ଆମର ବହୁତ ସାରା files ଅଛି but you need only a specific format of file ତମକୁ ଦରକାର, then you can also you have to run on the top of that, okay? Okay. So then we have to set up the ADF, okay? ADF setup. Okay, so ADF is a kind of Azure subscription हमको दरकार. Okay, we need what are the prerequisites for ADF setup. So an active Azure subscription is needed. Then we need a resource group for managing the Azure resources. Then we have to create the data factory instances and all these things. Okay, so we'll see that. Okay, let me. Okay, we have time, right? Let me connect that. Okay. Let me. Went wrong. What is what happened? Mhm. Method is not working right now. Why it is like this? Okay. So can you send me the code? So
It's 438 453.
Okay. Okay. So basically, yesterday we saw that I have created the Azure Data Factory. This one, like ADA practice, this one I have created. That's a resource group. Okay. This is a resource group we have created. So now we see there are two things we need. Okay. If you see the setup, the first thing is we need a subscription, that is done. We need a resource group, that is also done. Then for the creating the Azure Data Factory instances, so we have to create first. Okay. But before that, what we have to do is we have to we need two things. One is Azure Data Factory, one is storage. Okay. So we'll see that how can you create that storage, because storage is needed. So first what we have to do is we have to create a storage. Okay. We have to create, go to create. Just understand the process here. You are simply selecting this resource group. Under this resource group, you are simply creating. Go to the create to new resources. First, we will be creating the storage account. Okay. You have to search it. Here it is not available. If you see, search it, storage account. Okay. This is Microsoft Azure storage account Gen 2. If you see Azure services, use blobs, tables, queues, files, and data like Gen 2 for reliable economic cloud storage. So I can select this one. Okay. So this is the Azure subscription one, then storage account plan. Then I need to create it. Okay. So then it is asking me what is the subscription. So basically it is asking me, this is the subscription, this is the resource group. Under this resource group, I will be creating this resource. And what is this resource? This is the storage account I will be creating. Okay. So you have to give some suitable name for the storage account. So I can say that ADF storage can only lowercase and numbers. Okay. Okay, it's already taken. Okay. Okay, it's available. Then let me select the region. It's only East. Then preferred storage type. So basically, we can say that Gen 2. Okay. So we are taking Azure Blob Storage or Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So this is the storage type I am taking. Then the performance, standard or premium. So for now, I'm taking standard because which cost low. So you have to also select the standard. You will be using the trial version. So you have to select the standard. Then the redundancy. For redundancy, there are multiple options like intermediate option, failover capability, secondary region. So this will be used when you are working in the corporate. Basically, it's a failover region is there. Suppose there are multiple regions. सर्भर अच्छे there are multiple regions. ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗାରେ ତମେ server data fail ହେଇଗଲା କି data corrupt ହେଇଗଲା, you can retrieve that data from the secondary region. Okay, that's why we are selecting this geo redundant storage. Means geo means your data is present in multiple storage locations. Okay. But for now, will be low cost option. We'll be selecting this locally redundant storage. Whatever data will be available in a single server. Then zone redundant, your data will be available different zones, geo zone redundant. So these all are the options are available. But for now, we'll select only locally redundant storage, which is low cost only. Okay. Then I'll be going to the next. Then these are the securities like we have to select a version premium from any storage account we can copy, then that is fine. Enable hierarchical namespace, that is not needed. Then Access can be accidentally enable SFTP can only hierarchical namespace account to enable Azure files. Okay, next. Enable public network access. Okay, just a second. I think I forgot to select something. Okay, no, that's fine.
ଏଇଟା ଆମେ ଇଗ୍ନୋର କରିପାରିବା।
These are not needed. Public, then enable all these things. We can ignore public access network. Then these are data blobs and all. Then okay, blob files only. These all are we can ignore. Okay. Tags are not needed. Basically, it is needed for the billing purpose. So we don't need that. Finally, we have to validate. Okay, it's done. I think. Let's create it. Okay, so the deployment is completed now. So you can see under this, okay, go to the source, deployment is succeeded. If you go to the source, this is Geek ADF storage. That is what I have created. The resource group is, it is under this resource group, the subscription and all these things we have. Okay. Everyone got it? How we created this storage? Because storage account is must. Okay. Storage account is must. Then you can create the ADF as a data factory. Okay. Let me go to this data factory. So I can use this. Okay, this is mine one I created. So I'll be creating a new one. Okay, you have to go. You have to create the new one. So either option you can go. Okay, you can click on that resource group. Then you can
ଜିତେଶ
create a
ସାର୍,
new. Mhm.
ଆମର ଷ୍ଟୋରେଜରେ କିଛି ଫାଇଲ୍ସ ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖେଇବେ କି କପି କରିକି ଲୋକାଲରୁ ଅପଲୋଡ କରିକି?
Okay, that one. Okay.
ହଁ।
Okay. So if you go here, if you go to the storage here, see, there are a lot of things are there, like access control, data migration events. So what you have to do is first you have to go to the, you can see there is a data storage. Okay. If you go to the data storage, there are a lot of things like containers, file shares, queues, tables. Okay. So you have to go to the containers. Here you can see there is nothing. We don't have any containers. So for ADF storage, Azure Data Factory for, those in Azure storage account, first you need to create a container. Once you create the container, then you can create your folders and you can upload. First, you need to create a container. Okay. Let me take that. I'll be using source, let's say. Okay. So, okay. Source container. Okay. Lowercase must be this one. Advanced encryption is not needed. I think source is fine. Okay. This is the storage container, source container, right? Inside this container, if you want to get this, I think there is no item, you can add the directory. So till container, it is fixed. That's the container you have created. Inside the container, you can create the folders and you can upload the files. Okay. So you can create the art directory. You can create directory. Directory means it's a folder you are creating. Okay. Suppose you are saying that
ଆମେ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟ
okay,
ସୋର୍ସରେ ଅପଲୋଡ କରିପାରିବା ନା ନା ଫୋଲ୍ଡର ବନେଇ କରିବାକୁ କହୁଛନ୍ତି?
folder, yeah, we can do that. But better to create a folder. କାହିଁକି ନା ଆମେ ସ୍ପେସିଫିକ ସପୋଜ ଆମେ କହିବା କି ଗୋଟେ ସ୍ପେସିଫିକ ପ୍ରୋଜେକ୍ଟ ୱାଇଜ ଫୋଲ୍ଡର ବନେଇବାର ଅଛି, ଦେନ୍ we can create. Basically real time ରେ କେମିତି ବନାନ୍ତି ଫୋଲ୍ଡର, ସେମାନେ କଣ କରନ୍ତି ନା ଲାଇକ वी आर ପ୍ରୋଜେକ୍ଟ ୱାଇଜ ଗୋଟେ କଣ୍ଟେନର ପ୍ରୋଜେକ୍ଟ ନେମ୍ ହେଇଗଲା, ଫୋଲ୍ଡର ବନେଇଲେ ତାଙ୍କର ସ୍ପେସ ମାନେ ରିକ୍ୱାରମେଣ୍ଟ ଅନୁସାରେ ହ୍ୱାଟ ଇଜ ଦ ସୋର୍ସ, ଓକେ ସୋର୍ସ ର ନାଁ ଅନୁସାରେ ମାନେ ଫୋଲ୍ଡର ବନେଇଦେଲେ, then inside that they are storing the data in the form of years, because ଯଦି ଆମେ because data ଆମେ କପି କରୁଛେ ନା, ସପୋଜ 2026 ଅଛି, under that ଆମେ କ୍ରିଏଟ କଲେ ଗୋଟେ ଫେବ୍ରୁଆରୀ ର ଗୋଟେ ଫୋଲ୍ଡର, then inside that we are keeping all our files. Then March रे new files asila, then we are loading that. So basically folder structure ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ maintain କରନ୍ତି like this, so that ଗୋଟେ uniqueness maintain ରହିବ. But for now I will create this simple thing. So we can say that CSV file. Okay, it's a input CSV file, I can say.
So it's going to store all the CSV files.
Yes. Okay, input CSV files. Let me create that folder. Okay, so I think inside the source, what is not there? I created. Will be created virtually doesn't usually exist in Azure until you paste or upload blobs into it based for creating the copy the blob. Okay, let's upload first. I think it's taking that we cannot create it. There are a lot of files. Let's say it actually exist in Azure until you paste or upload the blobs into it. Paste the virtual copy before creating the directory copy the blob before creating. Okay, let's say okay, here I think I have to do. Okay. Okay, employee source, then we have in okay, got it. Okay, so is it saying that if you are creating that, it will not exist? Okay, I'll delete this one. So now you can see it's a folder. Inside that folder, we have this file. Okay, so once you create the directory, you have to immediately upload it. Okay, it's not like when it's a blank folder will not be there. You have to immediately upload any file to that, then only you can see this input CSV file. Okay, so you can simply follow this step to upload all your files. Then we will see that tomorrow we'll see that how can you create the ADF instance, and we can perform some basic things. Okay.
এটা ବୁଝିପାରିଲ ନା ପିଲାମାନେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆମେ ଇଟିଏଲ ପ୍ରୋସେସ କରିବାକୁ ଗଲେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଫାଇଲ ରିଡ୍ କରିବା ରାଇଟ୍ ସୋର୍ସରୁ ତ ଆମକୁ ଷ୍ଟୋରେଜ ବନେଇବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ ଷ୍ଟୋରେଜ ଭିତରେ ଗୋଟେ ଡିରେକ୍ଟରି ବନେଇବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ ସେ ଭିତରେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଫାଇଲ୍ସ ରଖିବା ଏ ଫାଇଲଟାକୁ ନେଇକି ଆଗ ଆମେ ଇଟିଏଲ ପ୍ରୋସେସ କରିବା ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ ପିଲାମାନେ
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ଯେମିତି ତମେ ପାୱାର ବିଆଇ ବି ରାଇଟ୍ ଗେଟ୍ ଡେଟା ଯାଇ କରୁଥିଲ ବା ରିଡ୍ କରୁଥିଲ ରାଇଟ୍ ସେମିତି
Sir, get data genuine भी थियो ना? Genuine भी data flow टा थियो ना?
ନା ଏଇଟା ଏଡିଏଲ୍ଏସ୍ ଜେନ୍ 2 ଆଗରୁ ମାନେ ଷ୍ଟୋରେଜଟାକୁ ଦୁଇଟା ୱେରେ ୟୁଜ୍ କରୁଥିଲେ ବ୍ଲବ୍ ଗୋଟେ ଜେନ୍ 2 ବ୍ଲବ୍ଟାରେ କ'ଣ ତା ଡିଫରେନ୍ସଟା ସାର୍ କହିବେ ତୁମକୁ ଆଗକୁ ଜେନ୍ 2ଟା ହେଉଛି ଆଡ଼ଭାନ୍ସ ମାନେ ଏଡିଏଲ୍ଏସ୍ ଜେନ୍ 2ଟା
So both are same actually. A blob container, it's a basically हम गोटा container create करिया पड़ो container भितरे, but agent to use कले कौन होगा ना तमें जो folder structure maintain कर पारी बैठी हमें जितने चाहिए folder structure वे रख पारे but container रे blob container रे there is some process is slightly different. Okay, you cannot create multiple folders, we can keep it in there. Okay. Okay, so that is the difference. Like blob container it's a container thing रे हमको create करिया पड़िबो, but gen 2 रे कौन करिया पड़ना, we can keep it like multiple subfolders we can create and we can upload your files. Okay.
ଫୋଲ୍ଡର ଭିତରେ ଫୋଲ୍ଡର ତୁମେ ରଖିପାରିବ ଏଥିରେ ଜେନ୍ 2ରେ ବଟ୍ ବ୍ଲବ୍ରେ ତୁମେ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟଲି ଫାଇଲ୍ ଯାକ ରଖିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ ସ୍ପେଶାଲ ଫୋଲ୍ଡର କିଛି ବନେଇ ରଖିପାରିବନି
Yes, sir.
Sir, sir, without folder रखिबे रे sir direct.
ବ୍ଲବ୍ ରେ
we can keep
ରଖିପାରିବନି,
no,
ସେଥିପାଇଁ
we
ବ୍ଲବ୍
can
ଟା ୟୁଜ୍ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି ନା, ADL Gen 2 ଟା ୟୁଜ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି।
Gen 2 ଟା advance ଆମେ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛୁ because ସେଥିରେ କଣ ହଉଛି ନା any type of files ଆମେ copy କରିପାରିବ, then ଆମେ ହଉଛି ମାନେ structured unstructured any kind of data you can store it, okay। blob ରେ ବି ରଖିପାରିବ, but there is a minor difference like blob container ରେ everything is container basis, under the container you have to keep it, but here you can create the multiple folders, basically ଗୋଟେ folder structure maintain କରିପାରିବ to store your data, basically ଗୋଟେ uniqueness maintain କରିବା ପାଇଁ you can keep it। we'll see that, okay। ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା କାଲି
Sir,
କଣ ହଉଛି।
sir,
Okay, I think we can stop here.
ହଁ
If you have
ଠିକ
any
ଅଛି, ଥାଉ
doubt,
ଅଛି ଭାଇ ଏତିକି।
tomorrow we'll see. Okay.
ପିଲାମାନେ ଭିଡ଼ିଓ ଯାକ କାଲି ରାତିରେ ମୁଁ ସେୟାର କରୁଛି କିଛିଟା, ବାକି ସେ ମେଲ୍ ଆଇଡି କନଫିଗରେସନ୍ ମୁଁ କରୁଛି, କଲା ପରେ ତମମାନଙ୍କୁ ଜଣେଇବି।
Yes, sir.
Yes.
ଓକେ।
okay.
Yes, sir.